And hi again, everyone. Welcome to the WKYC High School Football Game of the Week preview show. It's the Game of the Week playoff preview show. Might have been why I stuttered a little bit there because, TC, it is playoff time. I'm Dave DiNatale, Tyler Carey with me via Zoom as we get you ready for week one of the postseason. And unlike, as we explained during the regular season, in the playoffs, we get to pick where we're going. And I couldn't be more excited about to kick off our playoff coverage with the matchup we have for everybody Friday night in Division I, Region 1.
Now, Dino, it's hard to believe that the time has finally come for the playoffs. It seems like just yesterday that you and I were previewing Walsh and Benedictine in our week one game of the week, but we're off the first round of the playoffs right now, and 6 rounds this year because, as we know, we've talked about it, the regions have been expanded from 8 to 16 teams. Of course, we had everybody made it last year because of COVID, but we really have a matchup that I don't think a lot of people expected to see in the first round, but we're certainly happy to be covering it. And that is in Division I, 11th seeded Mentor. Yes, you heard that right. Taking on 6th seeded St. Ignatius. It doesn't quite have the implications as some of their past showdowns. Usually it's in the regional final or something like that. But at the end of the day, still a winner-take-all matchup. You got to take this game if you want any chance of advancing in the postseason.
The thing about it, 2 years ago at this time, Mentor would, if we were doing this now and it was an 18 region, Mentor would be out of the playoffs. That I can't fathom that. But you know, they're in, and it is what it is. So, you know, I think we've kind of made our feelings known about the playoff expansion. It is what it is. And the Cardinals, Matt Gray, get another shot now, and they can start, you know, getting themselves healthy and making a playoff run. It's always interesting when these two teams meet again after meeting in the regular season. Sometimes the result is different. It's if you look back in their history, sometimes it's exactly the same, but usually the common denominator when Mentor and St. Ignatius play in the playoffs, it's a memorable, close game.
No doubt at all. We've seen it so many times in the past. You mentioned their previous meeting back in week 2. Mentor won that game 28-26, another very, very close matchup between these two heavyweights. Now, we'll start with Mentor first. 5-5 record, their worst in 16 years, by the way. It's been a while since they haven't even been over 500, but the record is a little bit deceiving. They got off to a 2-0 start. They absolutely crushed Canton McKinley in week 1, beat the Wildcats, and then in their week 3 game against St. Edward, Jacob Snow, their quarterback, got hurt and missed some time. They had some other injuries as well. Brenan Vernon was a little bit banged up, the 5-star Notre Dame recruit, and they struggled. They had some really bitter losses. They got beaten up pretty badly on national TV by Medina, had a Hail Mary defeat against Brunswick, and yet here they are in the playoffs. Now, Snow is healthy. He's thrown to Evan Harper, one of his favorite targets. Vernon is back. And I got to say, even though they're only 500, I would not be shocked to see this Mentor team go on a run. I'm not saying I'm going to pick them to win the regional championship, but I think they're going to be a tough out in this postseason.
Yeah, and I think you could say the same for St. Ignatius. They also, TC, they got off to a really sluggish start this year. And, you know, again, people were saying, oh, is this the year finally that, you know, Chuck kind of loses his magic? Mm-hmm. But boy, oh boy. They started to turn things around, and maybe it was even the fact that they didn't beat St. Edward, but they played St. Edward very tough in tough conditions, and maybe that kind of got them into a higher plane to the point where, you know, they knock off St. X a couple weeks ago, and now they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
Well, to me, the moment came, and St. Ignatius' record 6-4, so a little bit better than Mentor. However, they have played a much tougher schedule than the Cardinals, so that's part of the reason they're still up there with the computer points. To me, the season really turned around that night against Archbishop Hoban when they took that blocked field goal all the way back and got the touchdown. We know even though Hoban's Division II, that's one of the best teams in the state, maybe even in the country. And to win that game, I think, was such a huge confidence boost after originally having that 0-2 start. Joey Pfaff is their senior quarterback. Very good leader on that offense. He was actually injured for their back-to-back losses against St. Edward, and I believe it was Moeller in overtime. Two very, very bitter defeats. But then he came back healthy, and they got a huge upset win against St. Xavier, a team that I think a lot of people thought was going to be in the national championship discussion when the season began. And I feel like this Wildcat team, their confidence, I mentioned it, is sky high right now. And they believe that if they can win this game against Mentor, maybe get an upset against Stowe in week 2, maybe, just maybe, there could be a little bit of that Chuck Kyle magic that we've seen in years past where they can go on a run and be like, okay, we got Medina and St. Edward up top. We know we almost beat St. Edward without our quarterback. We think we can hang with Medina. They barely beat us last year. Maybe a trip to the state championship game is not completely out of the realm of possibility. We've seen them do it before, and I think they could possibly do it again.
Yeah, history is on their side when it comes to that. So that's our game Friday night. We'll be at Byers Field. 6:50 will be our start time at WKYC.com. Also on your WKYC app. Catch us on YouTube as well, and looking forward to it. We're going to have all kinds of fun on that. Now, we're going to get to the playoff pairings that involve Northeast Ohio teams. TC will kind of go through that for everybody. But since we couldn't have you vote for the game of the week, we wanted to still have some fun and give you an opportunity to win a free meal from Chick-fil-A, our partners for the high school game of the week this year. And so we came up with something that we'll do for the rest of the playoffs, the peak performer, if you will, from the previous week. So we started that for week 10, including from the game we had last Friday, which was a dandy, Benedictine and Nordonia. TC, who won our performer of the week?
Well, Zach Zender, as you mentioned, the running back from Nordonia, was in the running, as was Tommy Beebe, the Wake Forest commit from Rocky River, who was great on both offense and defense last week as the Pirates won the GLC championship. But the winner in our first poll is Streetsboro wide receiver Preston Hopperton, only a sophomore. He caught just 4 passes in last week's blowout win over Springfield. However, they went for 174 yards, Dino, and 2 touchdowns, So a very, very good performance for the young kid, Preston Hopperton from the Rockets. We know that Streetsboro is going to be a contender in Region 9 this year. Congratulations to him. And like you said, we'll keep it up throughout the playoffs. And one lucky fan who voted will get a free meal from Chick-fil-A.
Preston deserves some Chick-fil-A, too, for that.
We all deserve some. The whole Streetsboro team deserves Chick-fil-A. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. Okay.
Everybody deserves it.
As we get you ready now, we're going to be watching a lot of action, certainly Friday night when we're handling the Mentor and St. Ignatius games, but there are games on Saturday as well. TC, let's let you share the screen here as we, again, do this on Zoom and take a look at, what's going to be happening here and have a little snapshot of what people can expect here this weekend and this opening weekend of the playoffs.
Well, Dino, on our website right now, WKYC.com, nice little plug there, you can get every single matchup from the first round that involves teams from WKYC's 17-county viewing area. We're going to start in Region 1, Division 1, which is completely made up of teams in our DMA. And like you said, it's a little bit different this year because of the expanded seating and because there aren't as many teams in Division 1. So you're going to have some interesting matchups. Notably, St. Edward, the number 1 seed, even though they lost the game, they got the computer points, they're going to be hosting 1-9 Lorain. Now, I think a lot of people aren't very happy about that. There is an 0-10 team from the Cincinnati area, Oak Hills, that's in it this year because there were only 16 teams in their region. So that's going to raise some eyebrows. But beyond that, we mentioned St. Edward, how good they are. Medina 10-0 with Drew Aller is number 2. Some interesting matchups. We talked about our game, Mentor St. Ignatius. Canton McKinley, I'm going to be interested to see what they can do. They kind of got hot toward the middle of the year and then lost a couple of games down the stretch. Brunswick and Berea Mid-Park, I think, is going to be a good game. Cleveland Heights, too, 8-2, but only a 7 seed. We'll see if they can make a run. They're going to be playing a tough Elyria team in week 1.
Yeah, I like that. I like that 7-10 matchup as well. Yes, Cleveland Heights got off to such a great start, kind of had some problems, lost to Strongsville amongst other teams, but came from behind on Saturday to beat Shaker Heights. And that kind of, I think talking to our guy Emmett Golden, who's got a son who plays for Cleveland Heights, that kind of was a much needed shot in the arm for the Tigers, and they really feel like they're ready now to make a playoff run.
Totally agree. All right, let's go to Division II, which, as we have said, has been topsy-turvy all year long. Now, starting with Region 5, Benedictine, even though they lost to Nordonia, they did get the number 1 seed in Region 5, and they'll be hosting Firestone in the first round. Really, there were 4 teams that could have been number 1 going into Week 10. Hudson had a shot. They ended up at number 4 after losing to Stowe. Nordonia had to settle for number 2. Archbishop Hoban, red hot, but they did lose that game to St. Edward in the regular season finale. They'll be number 3, but I think a lot of people are still going to have them as the favorites to win this regional championship. And at number 5, Dino, I think you and I were talking about this last Friday. Watch out for Walsh Jesuit. 2 losses, both in double overtime, both by scores of 35-34. That close to being 10-0, and I think they could make a run and possibly get to Canton.
Yeah, I do too. Very few weaknesses on that team. The only thing they haven't done, they have to beat Benedictine, or they're going to have to beat Hoban. They're going to have to beat one or both of those teams to get to where you were talking about, to get to Canton. Both those teams have been thorns to their side. So if they get there, they will have deserved it, because they will have finally kind of gotten that long-standing loss away from them.
No question. It's certainly a possibility. Okay, let's go to Region 6. Not as many all-area matchups. We do have a couple from teams in our DMA. Barberton hosting Lakewood. Olmsted Falls hosting Valley Forge. I actually think that's going to be a sneaky good game.
Yes.
In the first round. Granger Highland getting the number 1 seed. Hats off to the Hornets on an amazing season. But Avon really creeping up those standings. They're number 2. Couple of tough losses early, and it really seems like they found themselves. Avon Lake 7-3, but number 5, I think not as great as we've been used to seeing them in the past, but certainly you can't count them out.
No, but I think right now the 2 teams from that region I'm watching, one is Barberton at number 3, fresh off of their victory, big one they had a couple weeks ago against Aurora. And after seeing Avon play Berea Mid-Park a few weeks ago, they're trending upwards at the right time. Mike Elder has them locked in. So we'll keep an eye on those 2 teams. But, hey, you're right. The Hornets, we saw them in week 2, and, they haven't looked back. They've played really well all year long.
Absolutely. That's a really good team over in Medina County. And then Region 7 real quick. Who else but Massillon Washington is the 4 seed? North Canton Hoover sitting at number 2, Dino. They really got a shot to come out of this region. Lake, Green, and Worcester also making some noise further down south in the area. And then why don't we go
let's head to our favorite region.
Yes.
Why don't we?
Let's head to
Region 9.
Let's head to Region 9, Division 3. A lot of local matchups. Chardon, as expected, number 1. I think they've got to be the runaway favorite, Dino. As tough as this region can be, I think you've got to think the Hilltoppers right now are licking their chops and thinking, all right, this is set up perfectly for us to come out again and get back to Canton. Streetsboro, an 8-9 matchup with West Geauga, 2 very solid teams, and the winner would likely be playing Chardon in the second round. Dover, undefeated, they're 9-0, playing St. V. Kenston recovered nicely after that blowout against Chardon. And then there's Aurora, who fell to number 7 after a couple of tough losses, losing their quarterback, Alex Moore, in the process. It's going to be interesting to see if he can play and if Aurora can right the ship and possibly get back into this thing.
They not only lost Alex Moore, they lost their backup at one point, who was their JV starter. Now, they got him back after the Highland game. They got him back for last week. I think they played Revere and threw 55 points on the board. So that's more like it, I think, for Bob Mahalik team. But you're right. I think they can get through Ravenna. A potential matchup against Dover in that second round with a long road trip. That will be interesting to see. But we'll be watching to see if Alex Moore can come back. They're hopeful, but it's injuries. You're never sure. As we find out with the Browns, you're never sure.
Absolutely. If they can get past Dover, I think that is a sign that they're back and they're a contender again in this region. Region 10, which haven't paid as much attention to, but really some good teams here. How about the Norton Panthers? We covered them a few years ago in a game when they were just kind of starting to get up onto that precipice. They're 9-0, number 1 seed. Mansfield Senior, number 4. They went to the state championship game a couple of years ago. West Holmes, number 2, 10-0. Padua Franciscan hosting Cleveland Central Catholic. And how about Rocky River, number 3 seed after winning that GLC championship over Buckeye? A lot of moving parts to Region 10, Dino, and I think it's wide open.
Oh, and how about this? Rocky River and Buckeye could very easily have a rematch of what was a great game last week for the conference championship, the GLC. They could meet next week if they hold serve.
Absolutely, and I think they're going to be favored in both those games. And that was a classic last week. I think it would be a great game again should they meet up on the gridiron. Division 4, let's head to Region 13. We saw Perry earlier in the year. Really tough game against Kirtland. It was closer than the final score indicated. Well, they're going to be hosting Lawrence Northwest in the first round as the 4 seed. But the big story, Dino, I think has to be Villa Angela St. Joseph. 6-1, number 2 seed. They had a few games canceled because of COVID and other reasons, but they're going to be without Jeff Rotsky unless they get to the regional final. Their head coach is not going to be there. He's been suspended for some recruiting violations, as we wrote up over the weekend.
And Jeff is such I don't want to diminish his coaching staff because I know how proud he is of the guys he has around him. But his fiery nature, his ability to inspire his team on game days, that's going to be missed. I mean, that's an intangible that's hard to replace. So, good luck to the kids to kind of, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder now to say, okay, we got to go out and win these games for coach. So don't put it past the Vikings to do that. But that intangible of him not being there is going to be big to overcome.
We'll certainly be keeping our eye on it. We'll move to Region 14 real quick. Some all-local matchups. Edison playing Bellevue. Lutheran West, who we saw earlier, I believe it was in Week 9. They had their Week 10 game canceled, unfortunately, but they're still 8-1. They're the 8th seed. They'll be hosting Perkins. Keystone got a big win over Columbian a couple of weeks ago. They'll be hosting Huron. And then Shelby hosting Clear Fork in an all-local matchup. So some good games there. We'll also go to Region 14 real quick. Indian Valley hosting Philo, and Carrollton down in Carroll County hosting Cambridge. All right, Division 5. I think we all know who the favorite is in Region 17, Dino. And that would be the team with the 50-game winning streak, longest in the nation, the Kirtland Hornets. Garrettsville Garfield, they're 10-0. A lot of unbeaten teams. So this road is not going to be easy for Kirtland. Garfield 10-0. They're going to be hosting Sandy Valley. Garraway 10-0, hosting Buckeye Local. They're South Range playing Ritztown. And then I like this game too. Not undefeated, but Southeast has had a really good year. They beat Mogador earlier in the season. They're going to be hosting Lutheran East in the first round.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a tougher region than Kirtland maybe has had to deal with in the last couple of years. Usually a lot of times it doesn't start until they get maybe to a regional final or a state semifinal. But good group of teams this year, and it'll be a good challenge for Tiger Laverty's team.
I got to think whoever comes out of it, whether it be Kirtland or whoever wins this region is going to be the favorite once the state semifinals start to win the state championship. Region 18, a few teams there. Waynedale, Chippewa, Elyria Catholic having a pretty good year, and Brooklyn as well making it. Heading to Division 6. Mogador, not as great as they've been in the past, but they're still the 4 seed. They're going to be hosting Canton Central Catholic. There's Columbia down there. We talked about how good they were. That one loss to Keystone. Well, they're number 2, and they've got a shot to possibly meet LeBray later on down the line, or whoever else advances. Cardinals had a good year. I believe they were the school that fired their coach for hacking violations. Well, it turned out to be the right move because they're 7-3 and a solid 5 seed. East Canton, Black River, Pymatuning Valley, Norway, and other schools. We know how good Mogador is. We've seen them in the past when Kirtland has been in that region, but I also think this could be very wide open.
Yeah, I do too. And it would set up potentially some possible a Mogador-Kirtland state semifinal, a Kirtland-Columbia state semifinal. Love to see. We love all local matchups.
Kirtland's in Division 5. I hate to correct you, but
you're in 6. Okay,
yes,
you're
we're
right.
in 6. I apologize.
No, glad. Thanks for correcting me. But you'll have some good local teams in there. That's right. I thought we were in 6. I got mesmerized by the amount of teams that were in Division 5. Okay, so wipe out what I just said. Division 6, though, yeah, you could really see, TC, some local teams. We always talk about maybe the cutoff ends after just Division 5. You could see a local team challenging to get to Canton in Division 6. I think that's great.
So many, and I would think if there's a favorite local team from our region, it would probably be Columbia, but Mogador just has a thing about turning it on in the playoffs, so I would not be shocked at all.
Playoff acumen, yeah.
Absolutely. They've done it so many times. I've gotten to witness it up close and personal. They're certainly fun to watch. Region 22 in Division 6, Collins Western Reserve, and then Weller Crestview, 10-0 from the Ashland area. They're number 2, so maybe we could have an all-local matchup in Division 6 as well. Division 7, as we...
Who's number 1, TC?
Number one? The Lucas Cubbies, who got a big win over Mogador in Week 10, actually. Lucas went to the state championship game just 2 years ago. They lost, unfortunately, but they are number 1 again. Malvern, Dalton, Independence, who we saw earlier, that tough game against Lutheran West. They're number 5, sitting at 8-2. St. Paul and Norwalk, number 2, solid 8-1. Possibly that game with Lucas would be a collision course. And there's Cuyahoga Heights kind of sitting at number 6. Not quite the season that they're kind of used to, but still 5-3. And if they can just get an upset here or there, they can get some momentum and make a run.
There you have it. How many local teams are, there are 448 teams statewide that are gunning for a state championship as we begin the postseason.
I didn't count this year, Dino, because that would have, some years I try to count. This year there was a lot and it would have taken me a while. It's got to be at least 100. It's well over possibly 150. By the way, there's Connerton Valley right there in Region 27. All over the map to the outskirts of our DMA we go, but there's so much bold all over the story. Schools everywhere, parents everywhere, students everywhere, really getting ready to cheer on their teams. I guess that is somewhat of a benefit of expanding these regions, even though there are some teams, particularly in Division 1, who probably shouldn't be there. But if it does help some parents and some schools get the enjoyment out of it that wouldn't have been able to do so in the past, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'll hear that. Okay, so that's your list of all the Northeast Ohio teams that are going to be taking part in the postseason starting Friday night. Here's what you need to know again. Our game of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mentor Cardinals at the St. Ignatius Wildcats. I'll join you from Byers Field, 6:50 on Friday night. And again, go to WKYC.com. You can get a preview of that matchup, but you can look at Tyler's complete list of Northeast Ohio postseason games and check that out. Can track how your favorite team's going to fare heading into the playoffs. TC, it's here, man. It's here.
I'm so excited, man. I mean, we talk about, it being bittersweet because it means, it's going to end soon, but there's nothing better than Ohio high school playoff football. It's so much fun, so many twists and turns along the way. I am super, super pumped to get things rolling, and what better way to do it than by heading to historic Byers Field on Friday night.
Mentor and Ignatius. You just say that, and you start already to get
I get goosebumps
there. All right, we'll talk to you from Byers Field this Friday. Until then, for Tyler Carey, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thanks for watching our WKYC High School Football Playoff Game of the Week preview show.